This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Detroit Sports Podcast listeners can now get 20% off the first year of an annual subscription by visiting theathletic.com/DSP. You definitely want to go there and check out the great articles. One of the articles I recently read was Dan Orlovsky recapping what it was like going through that 2008 season and what it was like trying to avoid, by any means necessary, going 0-16. And he writes it in a great way. He's really a decent writer, and he kind of gives you some inside information from somebody who actually played NFL football. Definitely check out The Athletic. Go visit theathletic.com/DSP. Save 20%. Don't pay full price. Support those who support us. Go check out theathletic.com/DSP.
Oh my God!
Welcome to episode 10 of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast of Excellence. I am the Jock. I'm the guy who pays way too much for Red Wing tickets and then sits there and pouts all the way through Raw. And rolling with me, as always, is the steel chair swinging Doc of this Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast, John Macaron. What's going on, John?
So when you think about it, am I the Shane McMahon of the operation? You're the Daniel Bryan trying to figure out how to weave your way into the situation and make some things happen?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty accurate.
Right?
You're right on. So I guess, what did you think about this week of wrestling? Now, I was a little bit upset going into it, the fact that I had to watch wrestling so we could do our podcast, and I say had to watch it because it's the holidays. I wanted to do other things. I was extremely busy with family, so it made it really difficult to sit there and try to sit down and cram 5 hours of wrestling in.
The way I looked at it was, I was very disappointed to hear about the news regarding Dean Ambrose, and you'll talk about it in news and notes, but he's going to be away for the majority of 2018. And so you put Seth Rollins with Jason Jordan, and then you have him win a title? I'm like, what? You then finally debut a character that everybody's wanted to see in Matt Hardy, and it just didn't pop off right. I would have expected a little bit more. It still, I guess, speaks to where wrestling is now, that anytime they go to Chicago, you're going to hear CM Punk chants. When you got two superstars that are really busting their butt in John Cena and Elias, and they still have to address CM Punk. It's just, the way I looked at it was, and all I kept thinking throughout both shows was, dude, if you got 12 writers, this is what happens. You got a lot of opinions, and you just don't have that one like solid direction that you're going in.
It's not consistent.
It's not consistent, and I guess the way I look at it, starting off talking about Raw, was I just didn't like the way it was put together. I felt like because it was a Christmas show, then you had to take, you had people on there like Heath Slater. You had, a matchup with another jabroni that's trying to do his thing that has a losing streak. Kurt Hawkins, that character, Kurt Hawkins, doesn't need to be on Raw ever. He needs to be highlighted as, I guess if you had a TV champ, you could make him the main event or Superstars guy, make him the best guy there. Why is he on Raw? I just look at it and I say, you had to put something together. It was okay, but I just was watching it going, dude, they got to cut the writing staff. They got to just get a clear direction. You can't have all this debate, because when you have all this nonsense, when you have this kind of situation going on, then you get matches like Brian Kendrick and Hideo Itami. I don't need to see that.
You're right. It felt like it was just matches that were put together for the sake of having matches to fill out a show. And I think maybe we start there, just so everybody gets a good understanding. So John Cena opens up Raw in a lime green t-shirt. Cena takes it off the bright shirt and the bright hat and gives it to a kid. Elias then cuts Cena's promo short and asks if he knows what WWE stands for. And he
thought that was interesting.
I thought it was awesome. I thought this was really good.
Creative.
He says it means walk with Elias, and I thought that was great. This then moves into them two having a conversation till the crowd shouts them down. Like you were saying, they started chanting CM Punk, and it totally it killed their vibe. It
derailed it, yeah.
It did. And it's fans trying to get over fans, and it shouldn't be what it is, but it's what it is.
And for me, I don't like seeing John Cena being carried. He can't wrestle anymore. It was weird. Like, you bring him back, okay, he's got a personality. I think it's time, if he doesn't maybe want to transition out of being a full-time character, he needs to be someone's advocate. Because dude looked like he was a step slow. And I was looking at John Cena, I'm like, dude's only 40. AJ Styles is 40. Why do they look vastly different here?
But Cena doesn't do it every week.
Right.
That's the problem. You take time off. Can we talk about something real quick? Because saying take time off, I just remember Booker T just babbling on and babbling on. Like, Booker T said some things on Raw this week, which I just had me scratching my head. And I was like, what the hell is this man talking about? Like, he is like the most incoherent guy ever. Like, he's punch drunk, and they give him a microphone, and he gets to say whatever the hell he wants. And then you got Corey Graves, you got Michael Cole just laughing at him because he makes no sense.
And Booker T has radio shows, and he broadcasts, which is kind of weird, right?
It makes no sense to me. Who's listening to these things? It can't be good.
I'm all in favor of maybe cutting, in terms of if you're cutting costs, Booker T can be gone, and Cole and Corey Graves can do the job.
Yes, for sure. Two-man booth is all we really need. All right, so back to this. So Cena tries to give Elias some advice, and Elias hushes Cena by putting his finger on his lips, which I thought was great as well. There was a lot of really good spots in this opening segment. The promo was a little bit long, but there was a lot of good spots in this opening segment. At that point, Cena resigns and gets Elias a stool so he can play his music. Cena stops Elias after he calls out Chicago, and Cena explains that he's the one being a jerk. Elias then recants and starts again, handing it off to Cena, who ends up turning his back to Elias to continue to sing Have Yourself a Merry Christmas. And as he turns back around, he gets a stiff right to the face, knocks him out. Elias then challenges Cena to a match. They roll around with Elias basically getting 19 minutes of offense in, which means a 5-knuckle shuffle later and an attitude adjustment, John Cena's getting the W. I thought Elias should have went over here. I mean, I thought he carried that entire set. I mean, it was like 40 minutes. It was a 20-minute promo, and there was a 20-minute match. And I thought Elias carried all of it.
I thought, when I saw the matchup and I said, wow, Elias belongs in here with these big dogs. That dude's going to have a great 2018. So DocNJock stock watch, Elias, way up. We like what he does versus Roman Reigns. We like what he does in terms of his presence. He looks like a wrestler, kind of along the lines of Hercules, remember back in the day?
Yeah.
Kind of has that presence. His work on the mic is good. I think he's a good heel character, be very creative with WWE. I like what Elias is doing. I don't see a longer period of time without him having a belt, probably the IC belt, or maybe, a different type of belt. Maybe if there's a shakeup, maybe he goes over to SmackDown and does some things maybe with the United States title. But Elias is doing some big things, and I like his songs. I'm a fan.
He's entertaining. He doesn't get rattled by the crowd. He plays into it, plays out of it. He does a good job. It's like a square dance.
With that said, yeah, John Cena's match was disappointing. I just felt like step slow, looked like dude was just there for the cheap pop and get a paycheck. And you don't want to see that with a guy with that legacy. If you're going to come back, unfortunately, we got to judge him versus the match that he had a year ago versus AJ Styles. I mean, that was a match of the year candidate. 12 months later, you're having this kind of matchup. You don't want to see that. And it kind of goes to show, to those people who criticize him saying he can't wrestle.
Yeah, I think you're right. We then have a backstage segment with Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan, and Seth Rollins, where Kurt Angle makes a match with the two going against the Bar. That'll happen later on in the evening. Jordan and Seth leave, and Kurt Angle turns around to see Roman Reigns, who's informed he'll be taking on Samoa Joe in an Intercontinental Championship match later on in the evening. We then have Brian Kendrick take on Hideo Itami in singles competition. Itami hits the go to sleep for the 1-2-3. This has repercussions later we'll get to in news and notes. Absolution then comes out to take on Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Mickie James in a 6-woman tag match. Sasha and Paige get the match underway. Paige makes a quick tag to Mandy Rose. Sasha is the aggressor, tags in Mickie. Mickie and Mandy go back and forth. Mandy tags in Deville, and Mickie tags in Sasha. And honestly, this just goes on and on and on. Let's just say the girls get all the time they needed this week, and everybody gets a turn stomping each other. Towards the end, after a near pin by Bayley, Paige is pulled outside where the match breaks down. Bayley rolls Paige back in, and in the mess, Paige hits the Rampage to get the 1-2-3. It was a decent match. There was a whole lot going on, though. I think more than probably what needed, but this is what happens when you have 6 women in a tag match. We then have Renee Young interviewing Samoa Joe. I thought this was a great segment. She has this look of disgust on her face as Joe goes on to explain how he's not sorry for hurting Dean Ambrose and how he can be home with the ones he truly loves during the holidays, basically taking a subtle shot at her. He goes on to talk about how he doesn't care about Roman Reigns and how he's not scared of Roman Reigns and how he's going to put Roman Reigns to sleep. We then get Kane taking on Heath Slater, and Slater keeps getting tossed out of the ring by Kane. Like every time he goes to get in, he gets tossed out a brand new way. At this point, the crowd gets behind Heath Slater, and Heath Slater fires up, but in the end, he gets chokeslammed. Rhino ends up trying to gore Kane. Kane ends up chokeslamming him, so Kane's looking strong as he heads towards Royal Rumble. Kurt Hawkins gets his 147th loss to Finn Balor, who didn't even break a sweat.
That was funny because, Kurt Hawkins comes out and is like, I got to break this streak. And it's kind of a funny gimmick, knowing that he probably didn't win that many matches, even off of TV at the house shows. It's a funny gimmick, but again, Finn Balor underutilized. You got to have this dude not take on jabronis.
I don't understand what they're doing with this guy.
If you want to have a guy pump himself up facing jabronis, have Elias do that. He's in need of that. He could do that. You don't need to have Finn Balor. You need to have him with the program. These squash matches for Finn Balor, not good.
I don't. It blows my mind. I have no idea where they're going with him. We then get a weird way Bray Wyatt promo. He comes out and then he gets in the ring where Matt Hardy is waiting. So when the lights come on, he attacks Bray. Bray rolls out of the ring, and Matt makes a bunch of weird noises that even has Bray Wyatt looking annoyed. So I look, this was my fear with Matt Hardy going broken. It was such a great gimmick in TNA because he had total control over it. He could do what he wanted. At this point, I think he's almost a caricature of what he used to be. It's not good.
It's Broken Matt light, and it's not good, huh?
It's not good.
Thumbs down for you.
I don't like it.
So Doc and Jock stock watch on the Woken character so far, thumbs down.
Yeah,
it's declining, and it's making it look like, oh boy, it's more disappointing.
He seems like a crazy lunatic at this point. Before, there was some substance to him, and at this point, he just, that's all it is.
And it's not getting over, too. It's not getting the reaction they thought it was.
They get the delete, and that's about it.
That's it.
That's it.
And even then, the whole crowd kind of still doesn't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. They maybe had to explain that.
It's bad. Enzo comes out and cuts a promo dressed as Santa with Gulak and Daivari dressed as elves. He then goes in on Cedric Alexander on how he doesn't have his Cruiserweight Championship. We then have a weird Cruiserweight Christmas theme match that's a 6-way tag. In the end, Alexander pins Gulak. We then go to the back where we have a weird back and forth with Nia Jax and Enzo Amore underneath some mistletoe. So you know it's coming next, right? They're leaning in for the kiss. You're about to get the payoff. And then bam, Alexa Bliss interrupts and grabs Nia and they run off together.
Yay.
It was an interesting segment. It was fun. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they end up paying this off.
Exactly.
Next we have Samoa Joe squaring off with Roman Reigns for the IC Championship. They have a very physical match with both of them getting heat early and trading big blows. Joe slaps on the Coquina clutch and readjusts it in mid-hold to grab Roman Reigns' arm as he's reaching for the rope. Roman fights through this and is able to grab the rope for the break in the end. Joe flies through the second rope moments later, and at this point, Roman Reigns is selling a hurt elbow, which Joe then continues to work over. Roman gets upset after powering Joe off of himself and pushes the ref, who then has to DQ Roman. Joe wins, but the belt stays with Roman, who continued to stalk and pummel Joe after the match. And I thought that was pretty good. I think that might build to something down the line. I thought that was done very well. We cut quickly backstage to see Seth and Jordan talking about how Jordan can't lose this match and be happy with his competitiveness. Jordan says he'll be better than Ambrose, just you wait and watch. We then go to the Miztourage, who is continuing a bit that was woven throughout the entire Raw. They're basically running through the show, singing songs about The Miz and singing Christmas carols about The Miz. It's called Merry Mizdis. At this point, they're in the ring, and then Braun comes out, and we basically have a handicap match. And Braun makes really quick work of this.
And that's what it is now. That's what they've kind of lowered themselves to, the Miztourage, is to have the crowd say one more time, and they both get powerbombed twice.
Right.
That's about where they're at. I don't think that's the best way to utilize them, but that's what they're doing.
Yep.
Fodder for Braun Strowman. Yay. Oh. Happy 2017 to the Miztourage.
Alexa Bliss comes down and cuts a promo discussing how she's awesome and highlights the Women's Royal Rumble match until Asuka comes out and
that was the highlight.
The Royal Rumble.
I had that's 5-star. I actually DVR'd it and went back and saw it again.
It was great.
The whole thing.
It was great.
Especially with the crowd singing Asuka's gonna kill you, the tension, the way she played it off perfectly, and boom, she drops Alexa Bliss with the kick. It was a perfect segment. I watched it twice. It was absolutely perfect. I'm like, wow, that's how you advance a promo. That's how you potentially set up a match if you're going to have it at a pay-per-view. You have Asuka out there. Her music was awesome. Her entrance was just timed flawlessly. I liked it. I liked it so much, I saw it twice.
Yeah, it was probably the best part of the entire
It was, by hands down, it was really the only moment that I said, wow, I really liked it and got into it. So that was really the only moment the crowd was into it like that much, too.
It really was. Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan match up against The Bar. This is the main event. Jordan opens up against Sheamus. The Bar runs wild on Seth till he makes a hot tag to Jordan, who comes in and starts to suplex everyone. After being overpowered, Jordan runs wild again and hits his finisher on Cesaro for the pin. We now have new tag team champions.
Yay! I just didn't like it. I felt like the Bar deserved it. They should have capped off the year as the champs. They had a great year. I felt like I guess you could advance a storyline with these two guys, maybe set up a feud with them going forward. I get it, but in the end, I'm not interested. Jason Jordan just doesn't do it for me. When his music comes out, not invested. I feel like Seth Rollins could be in a program with Finn Balor. You could do something way different. I feel like the Bar should be destroying people at least until WrestleMania. You don't need to have the title change hands that many times. The Bar deserves it. At this point in time, you can elevate the tag team title belt by letting the Bar have a run because they're by far the best tag team on Raw, so let them keep the belt. Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan, I get it. You're going to set up a feud with them. I get it, but not happy with it.
Yeah,
not invested.
I didn't understand why you would take the belt off. I mean, if you're trying to put Jason Jordan over, I guess this is a way, but is it really? I don't know. Everybody's waiting for him to turn heel. Once he turns heel, he'll be over. It's simple.
Before we get to SmackDown, did you notice that one fan in the middle with, I think, the Cubs hat, the Cubs jersey? He was really excited. If you go back and ever replay the Raw, there's this fan right in the first row. He's super excited. He's fist pumping. He's really into it. It just was really cute to see because he was an older dude, and he's like one of those middle-aged dudes that really is into wrestling.
Really into wrestling.
So he was, if you pay attention to him, it's really funny if you go back and DVR if you haven't watched it yet.
I'll have to check it out. All right, so SmackDown opens up with its own 20-minute promo.
Oh, my God.
So Daniel Bryan opens SmackDown recounting what happened with Dolph Ziggler last week when he walked out on the U.S. Championship. And at this point, Bryant says that the belt has been vacated and announces a tournament to crown a new U.S. champ. And now, I don't... This really makes me upset. So you basically put the belt on Ziggler just so he can drop it and walk away. So he had the belt for a day. Like, what was the point? It makes no sense to me. It's so you can have a tournament? Again, makes no sense to me. And look, Dolph Ziggler's not leaving the company anytime soon. This is all Angle. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand what we're doing here. Anyways, Gable and Benjamin interrupt the commissioner, and they basically tell him they want a shot at the tag belts. Rusev and Aiden English interrupt to a thunderous ovation. Aiden sings all the reason why they should challenge next. Then the New Day come out. Next thing you know, we have a triple threat tag match, which was, I'm going to be honest with you, it was pretty awful.
Yeah.
I was really not invested in it. The best part was Rusev doing what Rusev does and just annihilating people. In the end, Gable and Benjamin end up challenging the Usos as they pin the New Day. So that'll be next week on SmackDown. Daniel Bryan welcomes in Shane McMahon. They go back and forth. Shane struggles to remember his lines. In the end, he calls out Bryan for playing favorites. This was really awkward. It was really painful. It was brutal. But
dude, Shane McMahon, rehearse your script, homie. You're the boss.
Dude.
You got to be flawless. You got to set the standard. If you can't spit out the lines, how are you going to expect your talent to spit it out? Come on, Shane. It felt like maybe he had a little bit too much eggnog over the holidays.
It just seemed like they gave him a script real quick, and they're like, here, go on. And he was like, okay. It was, like I said, it was awkward, but it did the job. It created more tension between the two, and that was what the end goal was. Breezango has a rematch against the Bludgeon Brothers. The Bludgeon Brothers toy with Breezango until the Ascension make the save. In the end, they go to the back, and the Ascension end up scheduling Breezango for a match next week against the Bludgeon Brothers again. So at this point, the Ascension is now toying with Breezango, which leads me to believe that everything that happened with the Fashion Files was actually the Ascension's puppeting, and the Ascension were the ones who were in on it the entire time.
You got it.
Used the Bludgeon Brothers to throw everybody off the case. So, yeah, at this point, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Ruby Riott enters the Royal Rumble. She then takes on Naomi and makes quick work of her. The Riott Squad attacks Naomi until Charlotte comes out with her shorts wedged way up her butt. They end up overwhelming with numbers. Natty's music hits, and Lana, Tamina, Carmella, and Natty come out, and then they attack the three. So it's just... It was what it was. You had to get all the women on. This is how we get all the women on. We next have Bobby Roode and Baron Corbin kicking off the U.S. Championship tournament. Corbin imposes his will in a physical manner as he just roughs up Roode through most of this match, which means in the end, Roode's going to roll Corbin up for the pin, and that's what happens. Roode ends up winning. Do you see a theme here? When I was writing this down, I was like, there's a theme. There's a theme here, and it's what it is. You go back to what happened with Raw with John Cena, who got roughed up for 19 of 20 minutes. You go to this match. Basically, Corbin roughed up Rude for, I think it was like a 15-minute match for
Rude
at least
can
12
take
of them.
it. He's a tough badass. That's how you establish him as a tough badass. He can take a pounding and roll him up for the victory.
Is that what that is? Jinder Mahal ends up beating Ty Dillinger to move on in the U.S. Championship tournament. Ty Dillinger has just been awfully used.
DocNJock stock watch on Ty Dillinger down. I can't
basement.
believe it. You got a talented individual. At this point, I think he probably should have gone over on Jinder, advance a little bit, maybe get one match more out of it.
You would think, right? I'll send you links to an interesting video. This thing I watch on YouTube called Athlean X. It's a workout video. It's the guy, Jeff Cavalieri, runs his own. It's almost like P90X, but better. He's a physical trainer who's also like a workout guru. Anyways, Jinder goes and sees him. It's like a 2-part thing where he basically trains Jinder. And in part 1, Jinder mentions that he's been dealing with a torn labrum. He ended up hurting it when he was fighting Nakamura, I believe, over in Japan or in China. So he's been dealing with it. That's why there's a little bit of a size difference from when he first started to where he's at now.
Gotcha.
Also goes through some things where physically what he's doing is wrong because he's overcompensating with other muscles. It's a really interesting watch. It's probably about 40 minutes. If you're into working out, you're into wrestling, you're into Jinder Mahal, this is an interesting watch. Anyways, Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura both announced that they're going to enter the Royal Rumble. We then have the main event, which is AJ Styles taking on Kevin Owens. The two have a very physical match that was impressive. Sami Zayn causes a distraction towards the end of the match, which leads to Shane McMahon coming down and demanding that the ref toss Zayn from ringside. The ref tosses Zayn, and Shane McMahon is basically forcing Sami Zayn to leave ringside. As this happens, the ref's attention is kind of pulled away from what's going on. AJ has Kevin Owens rolled up for a pin for about a 7 count. AJ gets up to look around to see what the hell just happened, and Kevin Owens scores the pinfall on a roll-up.
Yeah.
So that's how that ends.
Exactly. Not the best way to end it. It was a physical matchup. I thought Kevin Owens, AJ Styles can wrestle any day of the week. They can wrestle twice on Sunday, but roll-ups for the victory, huh? 2 in the same 2-hour span, huh? That's how you advance it. That's how you have AJ get pinned. Okay.
Look, I'm excited that they're going in a new direction, and I think Kevin Owens should be the one to challenge for the WWE Championship belt on SmackDown. He's probably your next best heel, right? You don't have it. He is your best heel on SmackDown.
But at the same time, you know how lazy that is for the roll-up? I mean, literally, you could do a kick.
Yes.
Just do a
Anything.
kick and a move.
Anything. You could poke AJ Styles in the eye.
Yeah.
Something different.
Or
not a roll-up.
Or a frog splash. Dude, you kick him in the leg, he falls down, do a frog splash, 1, 2, 3, that's it. The whole point was you want to set up the distraction from both of the general managers in terms of involving themselves in the matchup. It costs AJ. Fine, you want to do that, but have AJ lose to an offensive move. Not a submission, but an offensive move. Kevin Owens does need to roll up AJ Styles. Come on now.
I totally agree with
poor
you.
endings. Like, okay, how do we end this so no one looks weak? Oh, let's have a roll-up. Okay, come on, man. That's just stupid, silly.
Bad news. All right, so which one did you think was better? I mean, both of them were kind of piles of crap. But you have to pick one pile of crap to roll around in. Which one do you want to roll in? The red one or the blue one?
I thought that just the single-handed greatest moment of the week was Asuka, so I picked Raw. I thought that Raw was not the best, SmackDown either, but again, when you have that many promos, you have the further involvement of Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. I just feel like at the same time, you're not really advancing storylines properly on SmackDown. You got stars like Bobby Roode, you got stars like Jinder Mahal, Ty Dillinger, Orton, Nakamura. They should be mixing it up, having a lot better angles. And so, in terms of, like I said, I just went with Raw because it's like it's debatable even. It's not a big lead. I just thought that the moment of the week was Asuka and the way that the entrance went, and I watched it twice, so that's what I thought. And I tried to, in terms of how I watched it, I just fast-forwarded a lot of SmackDown. It wasn't really that entertaining.
I feel like SmackDown, again, was similar to Raw, where it was just matches put together. Initially, I think just because of the 2-hour time block, I was leaning towards SmackDown. But as I go back over and I look over my notes, I think there were better moments on Raw.
Yeah.
You had the whole Asuka moment. You had, I like Kurt Hawkins coming out and announcing that he's here to turn it all around, and he ends up losing, and thank God it was a quick match. I like the Renee Young interview with Samoa Joe. There were moments that I thought were really good, and because of those moments, I'll agree with you, and we'll give it to Raw.
Deal. Hit me with the news and notes to end this podcast.
All right, so it's just some brief news and notes. I don't have a whole lot this week. Update on Ronda Rousey in the Women's Royal Rumble. So it appears she'll be on location in Colombia filming a movie, and it sounds like that filming is going to run through the Royal Rumble date, so she probably won't be at the Royal Rumble as of now.
Oh,
so things could change. Things could change,
Yep.
but this is the latest news that I've got. Dean Ambrose Last week we said it was an elbow. It was not. Basically, the moment we got done recording and everything was in the can, it came out that he had a 50% tear of his tricep tendon. They had to go back in and fix that. He's basically looking at about 5 to 9 months of recovery for it, so he's going to be on the shelf for a little bit. That's why Jason Jordan got the nod. Brian Kendrick suffered a broken nose as well as a broken orbital bone on Raw. That was when he took Hideo Itami's go to sleep. So I don't know if it was a stiff kick. I don't know if it was an accident. I'm not sure, but Brian Kendrick's going to be on the shelf for a little bit as well. You've seen when Austin Aries had his broken orbital bone, he was basically shelved for at least 3 months, so expect the same.
Now, before we get out of here, do you think this injury to Dean Ambrose can really work wonders for him? I think that a guy like him who's, been up and down the road maybe can come back with a different maybe gimmick, something different. I think when you have an injury, it's an opportunity to kind of reflect, heal up your body, take the next 9 months, 2018, to kind of reflect on your character. And I don't think when he comes back that they should reintroduce him with the Shield. By then, it should be done.
Oh, no. This is what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. Because this injury comes at a perfect time.
Yes.
All right? So he's going to go away. He's going to come back. At some point, he's going to turn on Seth. All right? You remember Seth was the one who originally turned on him and Roman, broke up the Shield. He's going to turn on Seth. Expect him to go heel. He'll be this crazy heel. I think he'll be similar to what he is now character-wise, but he's going to be a heel. I think you're going to have something go on with Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins, so you're going to probably get a prolonged a storyline there where they're going to be tag champions, and that's going to create some division, some diversity between those two. But he's going to, when he comes back, whenever they reintroduce him, expect him to turn on Seth Rollins, expect him to go heel, and expect him to change up a little bit of his character.
Now, if Doc was writing it, I would completely change it up and not go back to the same old, same old. What I would do is
great if you weren't crazy Uncle Dino.
See, exactly. You said the magic word. Okay, so if it was done properly, you have a crazy individual who could be over by then if he's still around in 9 months, because you would have a returning Jeff Hardy who might be in the mix. Now you have Brother Nero, you have the Woken Warrior, and now the perfect addition to the Woken Warriors, Dean Ambrose. You have those three, and they can do some things in a new version of the Shield, but in a more crazy way, and that they can do crazy stuff, but maybe with more of an edge. So Dean Ambrose needs a character change. He needs to be away from the Shield. He needs to kind of have his own thing, and I think he can be part of the Woken Warriors if it ever takes off, if they do it properly, if they want to go in that direction. I think probably the reason why you're not so into the Woken Warriors with Matt Hardy is because Brother Nero, the character's not there. He needs a little bit of that playoff in terms of it as well, because he was a major part of it too, it seems like, right?
He was the catalyst for it all
exactly.
happening.
So,
but the thing was, Matt Hardy was broken before Brother Nero ever came around.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. It feels like it's become a character of itself. It's not the same. And I didn't expect it to be the same. I just didn't want it to be bad, and it's bad right now.
It's bad. So hopefully in the new year, you believe it? We got to sit there and watch Monday Night Raw on New Year's Day. After the Michigan game, you got 3 to 4 hours there. You turn around and you're going to have a wrestling event January 1st.
Not leaving the couch, bro.
There might be a botch. You never know. I might even call, if we're going to do a prediction, there might be a huge botch, because how, as a human, do you not drink a little bit, have a good time? These poor wrestlers, I mean, you got Finn Balor tweeting saying, hey, I had to tell my mom I'm going to wrestle on Christmas, and his mom, it's really sweet, is like, hey, you could be worse. You could be not wrestling on Monday Night Raw. And he's like, yeah, but it's just really tough. I felt like, you know what? They needed a week off. Just a 1 week.
I feel like they should have gave a week off. Could have did
off.
a greatest of, and if you're interested, you want to watch, go ahead and watch it. Instead, you give us all of that. And you know what? You take away the commercials in the first hour, so now I don't have a pee break, and when I got to watch it on DVR, it takes forever.
Guess what? Not everybody has the network. Give away a couple shows for 3 hours, maybe even a hodgepodge, the greatest matches of the year, and you could air AJ versus John Cena. You could air WrestleMania. You could air some of the great matchups of the year,
best moments of the year.
You could have an award show. You could do anything. You could re-air the Hall of Fame, anything but a live event where you got the fans in Chicago trying to take over the show. So I just felt like it was a wasted opportunity, but hey, that's what it was. So hopefully it's a lot better going forward.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It'll be interesting to see what they do on New Year's Day. We do have the Raw 25th year.
I'm looking forward to that.
That looks like that's going to be
Taker's going to be back, and they're going to probably have a lot of surprises too for that episode. Should be good.
Yep. I mean, at this point, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. We enjoy doing it. We love watching wrestling. And as you can see, the 3 belts over my shoulder, we love ourselves some wrestling. You got the major pay-per-view coming up, too, just ahead of our next recording. So it'll be a good time to reflect on that as well. So a lot of good stuff with these organizations. It'll be good to tune in 2018.
Yeah, absolutely. Till next year, Happy New Year to everybody.
Woo! See everybody next time.